What is up, Booch Brewers? Nancy here, I'm your Booch coach, and we are here to discuss the second fermentation. So, before we start getting bubbly, let's review our first fermentation. Alright, got a batch here. It's been brewing for about a week. Probably enough time considering I put an extra SCOBY in there to accelerate the brewing process. Let's give it a check. We have an empty, clean jar here. This will become the home for your SCOBY. And a clean metal utensil for SCOBY retrieval. Now it looks here like we formed a bit of a new SCOBY on top, plus the ooey gooey old one. So let's scoop the whole thing out here. Ew. And get it into its new home. Now notice that the SCOBY is just a really normal orangey beigey color. That is a healthy SCOBY. That means that your batch has not gone rogue. This is a safe batch. But just to be sure, let's give it a taste. Tastes good to me. Smells good. SCOBY looks good. Safe to drink. Now, your SCOBY will need to live somewhere safe until you make your next batch. So, we use some of our booch. You want to make sure that you leave a little bit of room in the jar for carbon dioxide so your jar doesn't explode. And then give it a seal. Now you want to make sure that you're releasing the carbon dioxide from this jar every couple of days. If you don't do that, it will explode. The wonders of science. Now to flavor today's batch, we're going with just good old-fashioned ginger. I like to slice it in really big kind of discs. This way they have lots of surface area, which gives your booch a really nice gingery flavor. No real rules as far as how much ginger to use. If you like a really strong ginger flavor, use lots of ginger. Now ginger is not an herb that is very high in sugar, and we know that SCOBYs eat sugar to produce carbon dioxide. So if you want a lot of bubbles, you're gonna have to add some sugar. You would not have to take this extra step if you were using fruit to flavor your booch. Here I've got some really simple cane sugar. Now keep in mind that this sugar, because it's a bit darker in color, will change the color of your booch. If you want to keep the color the same, use white sugar. So I've added about 2 tablespoons of extra sugar in here. Hopefully that'll feed whatever booch is remaining in here, sans SCOBY, and will produce lots of bubbles. Of course, we need to trap all of that CO2 in the jar, so we seal it with a proper lid. We leave this to sit for 2 to 4 days. You want to make sure that the pop top on your jar no longer pops. That means there's a lot of bubbles building up in here. See you in the future. Welcome to the future. Alright, Booch Brewers, we've got our ginger batch here that's been fermenting in its second fermentation for about 4 days. Not exactly sure how much CO2 is in here, but the pop top no longer pops, which means there's gotta be some bubbles. Now normally I would recommend taking a dishcloth over the jar just in case there's some drama when you open it, but because I'm a renegade, let's just do it. Woo! We have a little hiss, which means it's definitely carbonated. Smells amazing. The next step is to strain what we've got in this jar. You can strain it into an identical size jar, or if you're looking for smaller portions, smaller jars. I've got here a really simple piece of cheesecloth. It has quite large pores, so I tend to kind of double or triple it up to make sure nothing can pass through. Now when we're straining our booch, we're not just straining out the ginger, we're also straining out loads of little SCOBY particles that have landed inside the drink. If you're cool with the SCOBY particles, don't strain it. But generally, a clear brew is a more palatable brew. We properly seal both portions. These are ready for the fridge. Because these are preservative-free brews, they're only going to last for about 2 weeks in the fridge. There are also a couple of other things to consider. Even though we've strained out all the SCOBY particles you can see, there's still little bits of SCOBY inside each portion. That means that it will continue to ferment and continue to carbonate once you put it in the fridge. Good news is that the cold temperature slows down that process. Just something to consider. It'll taste different 2 weeks from now than it does today. Let's get these into the fridge. Well, there you have it, Booch Brewers. Hopefully this video has been helpful in letting you feel confident about that second fermentation process. Good luck!